All right. We're back on the Sort of Sports podcast. Been a minute. It's been over 2 weeks. Last time we met, I was talking about how Anthony Edwards is going stratospheric popularity-wise and how he was most likely going to be an NBA champion. And, there's a lot has changed since then. So, sorry that keeps going off. I was looking to see the exact date in the last episode, May 20th. So that was... a little over 2 weeks ago, about 16 days. But the finals start tonight. I already tweeted out my prediction. I have Mavs in 7. I really don't have that much to say about my predictions for the finals. You guys know I'm not big in the Celtics. I think this Mavericks team has been very impressive this year, but I don't really care to talk about what the Mavericks are doing until they win the finals. Then we'll kind of have a big retrospective on everything they accomplished. So, just didn't really feel like doing a finals preview, and it wasn't really going to have a chance because I thought the finals started last night. And so, really, the only thing I wanted to talk about in the podcast, and we'll start with that, is I recognize that Heat, they were talking about it on the rewatchables for it, that it was such a big deal because it was Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, these two actors that had just, been kind of like symbolically linked their whole careers and were at the peak of their powers, like two of the biggest stars of the last, 15, 20 years when they made the movie. And then with Michael Mann, who obviously was a big director at the time. So I thought about what would really be the modern day equivalent to Heat. And I think what I would go with is Robert Downey Jr. and Leonardo DiCaprio, because you get DiCaprio, who has been the prestigious film actor, and you have Robert Downey Jr. that has been the face of the biggest franchise in film. So I think it's interesting to have them both, even though they're both really great actors. One was with Marvel for so long, and the other one obviously doesn't do any franchises. He just does individual films. So I think it'd be those two together, facing off, and I think I would go for a Catch Me If You Can type movie, something a little more heist. Well, I guess Heat. I mean, the thing is, let's say we're doing a crime movie again, right? I would make DiCaprio the criminal and Robert Downey Jr. The cop or detective, whatever you want, whatever it would be. And then I think Soderbergh's the director, just because Soderbergh, if I had to think of somebody I would compare to Michael Mann modern day, I don't really think there's a proper modern day comparison to Michael Mann. But I'm going to go with Soderbergh. I think Soderbergh makes slick, sleek films similar to Michael Mann. So I would go with Soderbergh. And I think those two facing off would be quite good. As far as who's the Val Kilmer equivalent, where it's like, whoa, you usually head up your own films and you're in this too. I don't know. I thought maybe Miles Teller, maybe. Where it's like, I'm a big star, but I'm not big enough that it makes it feel like I'm on the level of these two. I mean, Val Kilmer is a big deal, so maybe I need somebody bigger than Miles Teller. But I think that'd be a pretty cool cast if it was a crime film directed by Soderbergh, where it was DiCaprio facing off against Robert Downey Jr. with Miles Teller and supporting cast. I mean, it's pretty stacked. I think the other argument I could go for Chris Evans as the other role. I just think, Teller was fun for me, in my mind. Teller hasn't done anything for a minute there. Or if you want to do somebody more up and coming, we can get Austin Butler. I'm happy with that. The rumor is he's going to be in Heat too, so And there's that. All right. I just wanted to talk about that. I wanted to get that off my chest. I had that idea a couple weeks back. Just wanted to talk about it, but I wasn't going to record a whole podcast about that. So I wasn't sure whether I was going to record. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes. You clicked on the video with the title in mind that I created my own hypothetical movie studio. That's true because I was listening to The Big Picture, a show from The Ringer. Very good podcast. I enjoy them. And Sean Fennessy and Amanda Dobbins did an exercise where they drafted their own movie studios. And Sean Fennessy created all these different categories, and I took some of them. Because I was listening to it, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And in my mind, I started to kind of, think about what I would be doing if I was them. And I really enjoyed the podcast. I would go recommend listening to them. That was really good. So I took some elements from it. I'm not drafting against anybody. I'm not competing against anybody. So I kind of changed things up. I had little things I wanted to talk about. So I added different categories. I took out some categories. I changed a little bit. But the core idea, I am lifting from them because I thought it was a fun idea. So in this scenario, this is not a scenario where I get to make up movies and write movies. I'm not a director. I am a studio head. So I got to go out and get directors that are going to work with me to create films. And then I'm going to get actors that are going to be my go-to actors and actresses for my films. And they're going to be my stars. And yeah, there's obviously other categories we'll get to. I named my studio. So imagine like essentially I am now David Zaslav. I am the head of my own Warner Brothers. Now, it's just funny because everybody talks about how bad of a job he does, which is true. But that was really a poor choice. But I don't want to compare myself to Bob Iger too. There's not really a lot of likable studio heads, I guess. But obviously profitability has to be like a big thing. But I tried to go for a studio I would be proud of, like I would enjoy running, while also being realistic with what we could do money-wise. Like we're not just gonna make $100 million budgeted action movies all the time. We're just not. Like that's not really financially responsible. So I tried to be somewhat realistic, and I'll explain that as I continue. So let's get into it. First thing, the studio name. Ran through some different ideas. I was asking G last night what she thought of my different studio names. I eventually settled on Serendipity Pictures. I think serendipity is a fun word. It's got a fun meaning. So I think Serendipity Pictures is quite fun, and I like that. So let's get into my 6 directors. So I have 3 directors I call studio directors. So these directors would be working on films that are more of our franchises. They're adapted from novels, because we'll get into that later, because I have categories relating to those. Whereas the master directors, they just come to me. They say, hey, I want to make this film. I give them a blank check. They go make that. It's whatever they want to make. Whereas the 3 studio directors, they're working more in tandem with the writers at the studio, creating films that are most likely adaptations or based in franchises. I mean, they can make some original stuff, but they're going to be working more with the studio instead of just the 3 master directors. They can just do whatever they want. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ryan, your favorite director of all time is Quentin Tarantino. Obviously, he's one of your master directors. I did not go with him. Why? Because Tarantino only has 1 movie left in him. He's only making 1 more. So I don't really see a lot of point. Now, I will admit, when I created this, I wasn't just going for, okay, let's get the 3, young stars directors. Like, Greta Gerwig's not on here. Greta Gerwig is an incredible director. Cannot wait to continue to see what she does. But personally, I just kind of went for, I tried to balance what would be financially significant with also, like, just what I wanted. So I kind of just chose younger directors that I thought would be fun to have at my studio. So, I mean, it's more based, I think Sean Fennessy and Amanda Dobbins on The Big Picture did theirs a lot more logically and a lot more like, this would be great business, whereas I tried to just do more what I think would be enjoyable while also trying to keep it semi-business related. But it's more just what I think would be fun and what I would enjoy doing. So, other thing, I do believe that Tarantino, when he's done making movies, will start working on TV shows or writing books. My company, the way it works is we're only movies, because if we want to do an episode where I talk about TV shows my studio would do, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. So I think, to make it simple, Serendipity Pictures is only making pictures. They're not making any TV shows for the time being. All right, let's get into my 3 master directors. So the first one I chose is Damien Chazelle. Damien Chazelle has directed 4 films, First Man, La La Land, Babylon, and Whiplash. I've seen 2 of them. They're both really good. La La Land's one of my favorite movies of the last, 10, 15 years. I think it's really good. I think Chazelle's got a lot of potential. Apparently his next movie is like a prison break film. I haven't watched Babylon yet because it's 3 hours. I probably should. It's got Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt, which, if anybody listens to the podcast often knows, I love both of them. So Chazelle would be a guy who comes in, whatever he wants to make, we would get done. This also kind of makes sure that Ryan Gosling will be working with my studio some, because he is in 2 out of the 4 current Chazelle films, and I'm willing to bet they collaborate again. So, because here's the thing, is just because I don't have an actor in my stars, because I'm going to be honest, Ryan Gosling's not in my 5 movie stars, that doesn't mean that they can't be in my movies. He just won't be an immediate go-to person that I'm working with. Does that make sense? You know, like, Ryan Gosling might show up, but it's not as likely as one of my 5 stars. My 5 stars will be the people I go to first. That type of thing. So anyway, Chazelle is my first master director. After him, we got Denis Villeneuve. Now, obviously, Nolan would be the obvious choice. I obviously love Christopher Nolan. Huge fan. But I honestly thought it was so obvious I didn't do Nolan, because I'm like, yeah, well, of course, getting the biggest director in the world would be huge for my company. Of course it would. So I didn't think that was as fun, so I decided to go with Villeneuve, even though he's very big too. A bit weirder than Nolan. Apparently he's got this new movie he's going to adapt from this book. It kind of sounded like Interstellar. It's like a man who travels through space and time to meet back with his fiance. I just read that on Twitter that he's working on that. He's got a Cleopatra movie in the works. Maybe my studio, that would be one of the first pictures we produce, is his Cleopatra film with Zendaya and Daniel Craig. And I think Chalamet's also in it. Yeah, so Villeneuve, huge get for my studio. I think he would have to wrap up Dune for Warner Brothers, but then everything else he would come for us and will come like with us. He would make with us, and that would be massive. Between him and Chazelle, I got 2 directors that are making quite different movies, but I think are both very, very good. And the last one, I went for Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever, Creed 1, and if you've ever seen Fruitvale Station. Ryan Coogler, every movie he makes has Michael B. Jordan in it, so that guarantees that Michael B. Jordan will be in at least some of my studio movies. And Coogler, yeah, he's really good. He's going to continue to make excellent movies, so I just have full faith in him. I'm being honest, guys. This is a very pure... Okay. I'm going to break... technically this entire podcast is breaking the fourth wall. I don't do this in character. I'm being myself, but I'm going to really break the fourth wall here, because I'm speaking to... if you're someone who listens to this podcast and you don't know me personally, like you haven't met Ryan Klinger in real life, first of all, I appreciate it that you enjoy listening to this, even though you never met me. Second of all, I do want to explain... This is probably one of the most me podcasts of all time, because it's just me essentially just being like, well, if I was a rich billionaire, this is what I would do with my movie studio. And this is the type of stuff I really enjoy doing. But I just think it's funny, because people that know me personally are probably not surprised that I'm about to do a 30 to 40 minute podcast just on this massive hypothetical. And this is the longest script I have written for an episode ever. This took me about 2 hours to make my picks. I made decisions, then I changed my mind. I researched things. I was really into this. And so yeah, I just want to state, I just think this is funny that we're doing this. And I will be shocked if this episode gets more than 10 views. I will be completely shocked. So that'll be quite funny if it does. All right, let's shift into our 3 studio directors. So the studio directors, these 3 are going to be directors that work directly with the studio. So for this, I decided to basically, what I did is I looked for smaller directors. I wanted to go for people that aren't as big in names. There is one I will admit is a relatively large name, but I tried to get guys who make smaller films. Maybe they have a couple hits, but for the most part, most people would not consider them premier Hollywood directors. So that's what I tried to do here. And the first one, I got a guy named Brian Kirk. You're like, who's this guy? Well, he directed some episodes of Game of Thrones. He's an Irish director, and he directed some episodes of The Great Expectations show. I think it was on BBC. The biggest reason I got him is he directed 21 Bridges. 21 Bridges is an incredible, incredible crime movie starring Chadwick Boseman that more people need to see. It's on Netflix. You should go watch it. It's amazing. It's like an hour 40. J.K. Simmons is also in it. Love that movie. But yeah, Brian Kirk directed that. I am getting him, and I'm saying, look, pal, what you did on that was excellent. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I am not a horror movie guy. I do not enjoy horror movies. My studio will not be creating horror films unless there is somebody later we'll get to. Unless one of my master directors or somebody we'll get to later wants to make horror films. None of my studio directors will be making horror films. I have no interest. My studio is going to be positioned around dramas, just like standard. I love a good weird-ass drama, like Challengers. I love a good, just like solid, straightforward, character-based drama like Marriage Story. Let's do stuff like that. We're going to do dramas, crime films. That's going to be, we're doing like 2 genres, crime and rom-com. Crime movies, I want them a little more fun. I want them more pulpy. I want Jackie Brown energy. We can make some stuff like LA Confidential. We can make some stuff like Seven, because I don't want them all to feel the same. And I think that's part of the reason I want to do crime movies is they can be lower in budget. They can really just have like 1 star in them, and they can really be unique. Because we could have Brian Kirk make something very intense and dark, and then he could turn around and make something fun and pulpy. And I think that's what's fun about the crime genre is you can do a lot. You can make Chinatown, and you can make Rush Hour. And they're both kind of, Rush Hour is like a buddy cop, but that's still a form of a crime movie. So, it's also like action, but you know what I mean. Okay? I think you know what I mean. And then the rom-coms, I'm a big rom-com guy, and rom-coms obviously going to be lower budget, and you can make money. Because it's just not realistic to say I'm going to make nothing but $150 million action crazy blockbusters. Because we're not. We can't do that. So what we're doing is we're going to make dramas, crime flicks with lots of different genres, and then rom-coms, and then my master directors can do whatever they want. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for my studio. But anyways, Brian Kirk is my first of my 3 studio directors. I think he's very talented, and he could potentially become a master director if he does quite well as a studio director. So this next guy is probably the biggest name I have as a studio director. His name is Cary Joji Fukunaga. He directed No Time to Die, the James Bond film. He's been directing the episodes of this new Masters of the Air show that's on Apple TV Plus with Austin Butler. Once Apple TV Plus does that bundle deal with Peacock and Netflix, I'm going to be kind of set because there's a couple shows on Apple TV Plus I'd actually really like to watch, but I'm not about to get Apple TV Plus for 3 shows. It's like I tweeted out a while back. I'm like, Paramount, there's like 2 shows I want to watch on Paramount Plus, but you guys just refuse to bundle if anybody, so it's like I'm just never going to watch them. I say that, but I'm willing to bet they bundle somebody soon. But anyways, I'm actually pretty excited for that Apple TV Plus bundle because I got to watch Severance. Everybody says it's amazing. And then I'm interested in that Masters of the Air show. And then now they're doing a Presumed Innocent TV show, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Presumed Innocent, classic Harrison Ford film. So I've never seen it, but I know people say it's really good. I probably should watch the movie at some point. Probably watch it before I watch the show. But there's another Apple TV Plus show. Oh, Ted Lasso. That's the other one. But that's not enough for me to get the service, right? And I don't know anybody that has it. Like Peacock, all I cared to watch was the Ted show. I feel like at some point I should probably watch Bel Air, but all I cared to watch was the Ted show. And my girlfriend Genevieve had a Peacock, so she just gave me the password, so that was money. Thank you, G. All right, back to my studio. So Cary Joji Fukunaga, the really big reason I'm hiring him, though, is because he also directed every single episode of the first season of True Detective, which is one of the best seasons of any TV show ever, and easily the best crime TV show season, as far as a serious crime TV show. I think Burn Notice, I don't really know what you count that as, but Burn Notice is better than True Detective. I can't believe I said that. Is Burn Notice better than True Detective? I don't know if it is. I'm going to be honest. That's, as much as I love Burn Notice, that's I don't know. That's tough, because True Detective season 1 is incredible to me. But that's why I'm getting Cary Joji Fukunaga. I would like for him to try out some different things and try to do a rom-com, but for the most part, we're going to say, hey, buddy, make some dramas, make some action, and I feel like he wants to make, maybe we'll make one big-budget action movie, but more likely a crime film, because he's got experience. I will admit, doing a James Bond movie kind of makes him a little bit of a big deal, but I don't think anybody, I don't think too many people know the name Cary Joji Fukunaga. I didn't know his name, and I've seen 2 out of these 3 things, so... Last guy I got is Will Gluck. He directed the 2 latest Peter Rabbit movies. He directed Easy A, that movie of Emma Stone. He directed Friends of Benefits with Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake. And he directed Anyone But You, the Sydney Sweeney Glenn Powell rom-com. I'm pretty much I got to get a rom-com expert in here. So that's why I'm bringing in Will Gluck. He also writes, so that'll be quite handy. So yeah, Will Gluck, welcome to the squad. Will admit, I did just kind of snag one of the biggest names in rom-coms, but I needed him. So that's my team right there. That's my team of 6 directors. We got Chazelle, Villeneuve, Coogler, along with Brian Kirk, Kerry Joji Fukunaga, and Will Gluck. Very excited for what my studio's going to cook up. All right. So now we're going to do, I got 5 stars that I can position my films around. They can just be the main star of my films. Maybe there's one film that like 2 of them are in. But for the most part, they're just going to be the stars of my films. Obviously, we can still work with other actors and actresses. We still can. But these are going to be the main people I work with. And then I got 3 actors that I just really like, and I think my studio can put in smaller roles. Maybe they can lead up, like they can be the main character in a smaller film, something that's not as like if, let's say Will Gluck's like, hey, I got this smaller drama. It's like, okay, well, maybe we won't use one of our 5 stars on it. Let's try to see if we can get a great performance out of these smaller actors. So I got 3 smaller actors, and this is just really Ryan Klinger wanting to tell you 3 actors that he thinks are really good that should get bigger roles. That's really what's happening here, if we're being honest. Because it's my studio, and that's what I would do, is I would elevate talent that I want to see elevated. Like, I think that Brian Kirk guy that made 21 Bridges is a legitimate talent, and I believe that he should get bigger things. So this is kind of my podcast where I'm just telling you basically what I believe should happen in Hollywood. So my studio is just going to be carrying out my dreams. Anyways, let's get to those 3 actors. First one I got, Michael Rosenbaum. I have only ever seen Michael Rosenbaum in one thing, and it's Smallville, where he's Lex Luthor. But he is so good as Lex Luthor in Smallville that I truly believe he is an untapped talent. I think he could work quite well in rom-coms as kind of a grumpier father character to a younger character. I think maybe we can make him the sexy dad. Like maybe he can just be the main character in a rom-com or drama. I would love to see him try to do a crime film. He's got this intensity that I think could be really interesting to be the villain of a crime film. I don't know if he'll ever be as big of a star. He can be the main star of something. Maybe if it's a smaller drama, he can be the lead. But for the most part, Rosenbaum's going to be side characters, but I'm just really happy to have him on the team. Next guy, we got Dacre Montgomery. Dacre Montgomery, you know him from, if you saw that Power Rangers movie, he was the Red Ranger, like the 2017 Power Rangers movie they made. But really the big thing you know him from is he's Billy in Stranger Things. I felt like he was going to have the career Joseph Quinn is having. I really like Joseph Quinn as Eddie. Don't get me wrong. But Joseph Quinn now is in the new Quiet Place movie. He's going to be Human Torch and Fantastic Four. He is having the career I thought Dacre Montgomery would have. Years ago, I told friends of mine that I thought Dacre Montgomery would be a mean Human Torch, thought he could kill it, thought he'd be perfect, and then Joseph Quinn got that role. I think Dacre Montgomery is really good. I really liked his performance as Billy in Season 2, and then Season 3 when he had to like be Billy getting taken over by the Mind Flayer, he did really good in that too. So I think Dacre Montgomery's really good. I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, he's better than Joseph Quinn, because I think Joseph Quinn's super charismatic. But I have to admit, I think Dacre Montgomery's better. Also, apparently he writes poetry, so good for him. Maybe he'll want to take up some writing of some films. Who knows? But I think Dacre Montgomery's going to be a key piece because he can potentially be leads in my rom-coms because he's only 29. So, and he looks younger than 29. So, he can be like a college-age kid. I honestly would argue he could be a high school-age kid. Like, I'm being for real. I guess he does look a little old, but he's going to be huge for rom-coms. He might eventually become one of our stars, but he's going to start as just a smaller actor that we might put in some leads, most likely some side roles, and then he eventually grows into his own star. So Dacre Montgomery, welcome to Serendipity Pictures. Next actor I got, this is another one like Michael Rosenbaum where I have a super soft spot, and that is Mr. Jeffrey Donovan. Jeffrey Donovan, first film I ever saw him in was in a movie I quite enjoy called Wrath of Man, starring Jason Statham, directed by Guy Ritchie. A fun crime movie from Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie was honestly a name I thought about getting on our master directors, but decided against it. Anyways, Jeffrey Donovan. Even though I like Guy Ritchie probably more than any of the 3 directors we got, maybe not Villeneuve. Or should I don't know. I kind of really like all the 3 guys we got. Never mind. I do really like Guy Ritchie. Anyways, Jeffrey Donovan. Really the big role. So the first thing I saw him in was Wrath of Man, which I really liked his performance in that. I was like, oh, that guy's pretty intense. And then the next thing I saw him in was, of course, his lead role in the classic TV show Burn Notice, where he plays Michael Weston. And that was a show I was like, wow, okay, this guy has it. He is super charismatic. And Burn Notice, there's many episodes where he has like cover identity, and he can act completely differently. A favorite of mine is there's an episode where, to like freak these like gang members out, he basically acts like he's like like a real life carnation of like the devil, and he wears like a black and red suit, and he speaks super slowly, and he always like times up bombs going off to when he snaps his fingers. And it's just such a fun performance from Jeffrey Donovan, because he does the perfect amount of corny where it's like, it's funny that Michael Weston is doing this, but it's also not so funny that you can't take it seriously. I think it's really impressive, and I honestly think he might be a guy that we can make a smaller budget crime action film around, and then it pops off and he becomes a star for us, even though he's like probably 40 or 50. I don't know Jeffrey Donovan's age, but he could definitely be a villain to a bigger star, and I even think we can try him in some rom-coms. We can be like, definitely not like the main guy. I mean, my sister said he's pretty attractive, so maybe we're good. He is 56. Wow, Jeffrey, you're getting up there. Didn't realize. Well, I guess when I watched Burn Notice, it is like 15 years ago. So then there's that. But anyways, I did see him in Wrath of Man, and he looked fine, so he was good. But maybe he'll just be like my old man crime action guy. Yeah. Rom-com, probably not doing any romance himself. Maybe he's just a side character. But for the most part, Jeffrey Donovan's going to be in our crime movies, and I think he could do really well. So I'm really happy to have Jeffrey Donovan on the team. He's also dabbled in directing, so maybe he can direct some smaller films for us. That'd be great. All right, now let's get into our 5 stars. These are going to be the people I pin my films on, my big franchises, my big movies. These are the people I'm counting on. The first one is a movie star that is officially my guy, like in real life. This is real Ryan Klinger coming out right here. This guy I really love. First thing I remember seeing him in, I was like, okay, I'll explain my journey with him in a moment. But this guy, I have just decided in real life he is my guy. I'm going to watch anything he comes out with. Doesn't matter what it is. He is officially my new favorite movie star. Yeah, I've been waiting for a guy that can just be my guy. Because, like, I love Matthew McConaughey, right? But he's getting older. He's going to slow down, right? And I love Donald Glover. But Donald Glover pops in and out of movies. Sometimes he does Childish Gambino stuff. It's hard for him to just be, like, my flat-out favorite actor. That's just my guy. I finally have found my guy in Glenn Powell. I remember first thing I ever saw him in was in Hidden Figures. He played John Glenn. I remember being like, oh, that guy was a good John Glenn. And then I read an article one time that was like recasting the Avengers if they made it now. And somebody said Glenn Powell would be perfect for Captain America. And I went, oh, that guy would be perfect. He was good as John Glenn. I hope he, gets some bigger roles. I really like him. Then boom, he's in Top Gun Maverick. He's my favorite character in that movie is Hangman. He's great. Loved it. Then we turn around. I see a trailer last summer for this rom-com with him. Very excited. I love rom-coms. Cannot wait to see it. That movie ends up being a massive hit. Apparently, I wasn't the only person that loved him in Top Gun and wanted to see him in more things. Now he's about to be in this movie that comes out in 2 days, Hitman from Richard Linklater, which looks very up my alley, like an action rom-com with him in it. Very excited for that. Comes out on Netflix this weekend. And then in about a month and a half, Twisters comes out, starring him, and I'm very excited for that too. So, about to have the summer of Glenn Powell. I have just decided he is my guy. I'm going to have to watch Everybody Wants Some, which is a Richard Linklater film from about 8 years ago, which Glenn Powell's a supporting role in. I'll have to watch that. But, yeah. So, Glenn Powell is going to be the first star of my movie studio. He is going to be our main male star. He can do rom-coms, he can do crime films, he can do action films. I'm sure Chazelle, Villeneuve, Coogler could find roles for him if they wanted to. Glenn Powell is going to be a stud for us, and very excited. I think the versatility is really what I'm going with here. I'm going first and foremost for actors and actresses I like, but then I'm also going for versatility, people that can do a lot of different things. And I think Glenn Powell can do a lot of different things. He can do rom-coms. He can also do some more serious stuff. That's exactly what I need. So, very happy with that. Now, next up, obviously, I need two lead females. Because, we're going to have movies where there are female leads, especially of rom-coms. I don't think I'm going to use Glenn Powell in every rom-com, right? I'm going to have to get other actors, and I'm going to want a strong female lead that can be the main name on the poster. So the first one I got is Margot Robbie. I love Margot Robbie, big fan of her. My only concern with her is that it's been a long time since I've watched her in a movie play a normal person. In Wolf of Wall Street, her character is probably one of the most normal people she's played, as I can remember. But even in then, she's kind of like not the type of person you'd meet on a normal Tuesday, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Then Suicide Squad, obviously she's Harley Quinn, not a normal person at all. I didn't watch Babylon yet, not sure how she is in that. But then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she doesn't talk that much because she's Sharon Tate. I haven't watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I know that. So I just get a little concerned. And then obviously Barbie, she's not really a normal person in that either. I just get a little concerned because it's like, okay, I haven't watched you play like a normal person that's not like a massive undertaking. Kind of like Johnny Depp, right? It's just been a while since we've seen Johnny Depp play a normal person. And it's like, okay, can you still just be, Taylor who goes to the mall? Can you still do that? That's my only concern with Margot Robbie is I know she could kill it in some of our crime films and dramas, but can she do rom-coms? Can she just be a normal person that's going on a date? I would like to believe so. I would like to challenge her, and that is why I brought her on the team. I do think she is quite funny, and I think she can do some rom-coms for us, so that'd be great. Obviously, like, one of the biggest female stars in the world. So, big get for us. Next up, I feel like this is obvious, but it's undeniable the fact that she can lead up her own movie. She can be a side character. She can be intense. She can do like pretty much anything, and that's Zendaya. And we haven't seen Zendaya in a rom-com. I'm sure we're going to see it soon in real life, so sure she can kill it. I feel like Sydney Sweeney would be the more obvious pick here because I guarantee within the next 2-3 years we're going to get another Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney rom-com because they already had really good chemistry. They're going to do it again, which is fine. The reason I didn't go with Sweeney is I don't think she has as much versatility as Zendaya. I don't think Sydney Sweeney's going to make a movie like Challengers anytime soon. Challengers was the movie that really confirmed to me that Zendaya is an absolutely special talent because she was inherently dislikable in that film and excellent in that film. But then she can also turn around and do something like Dune. And I think it's really impressive. Like the breadth, I don't want to say breadth. I mean, the diversity in her performance she can do is quite impressive to me. So, that's why I went and got her. I know Sydney Sweeney has more experience in rom-coms, but I just think Zendaya is way more versatile and going to be way more useful for the studio. So I really like her as a talent. Next up, I debated getting Alan Ritchson or John Cena or Zac Efron. And then I kind of realized, okay, I really like all those actors. I really do. But they're all kind of similar, where they're very muscular, handsome men who frequently play like the big hot guy, but I truly believe are very funny and underrated actors. Now, the one that probably gets the most acting stuff, I would say, is Cena, because Peacemaker is a challenging role. And I think Zac Efron really killed it in The Iron Claw. So, like, these are actors that I honestly believe can put in some really genuinely great performances, but obviously can be stars because of, like, their looks and their size. They're all big men. And I really like this type of actor. That's probably why I'm a big Schwarzenegger guy when you go to, like, 80s movies. But the one I decided to go with is the one who I think will be the most fun for my studio. It really came down between Cena and him, but I decided to go with Channing Tatum. I think Channing Tatum can do rom-coms. I think Channing Tatum can do like an action movie. I think he can do a crime movie. I think he's got a lot he can do. I think he's quite funny, but he can be serious. I really think he's funny. Like, I genuinely think Channing Tatum's really funny. So I think we got a lot to work with here with Channing Tatum. And I think we can make some really fun movies with him. So that's why I went with Channing Tatum. Sorry, Alan Richardson. Sorry, Zac Efron. Both of you are very funny, especially Richardson. Richardson's really funny, but sorry, guys. All right. Now, last on my stars is an actor that I probably should have listed underneath the actors that it's just been like, hey, maybe he'll grow into a star, but I'm saying screw that. I'm putting him under my 5 stars because I think from the jump, we're going to be like, look, man, I can make you a movie star. Is this what you want? And he'll probably say, I'm interested. It's a very niche joke. But this man is Roman Reigns, your tribal chief. I think Roman Reigns got real potential. This is the pick that when I was talking to Genevieve about this podcast last night, she's like, I don't really see that. And I was like, look, I honestly believe that Roman Reigns can be really funny. I do. I think he can be really humorous. I think you put him as a side character in a rom-com, he can do magic. Really do. I think Roman Reigns can be the sleazy drug dealer in a crime movie. I think he could be an intense villain in an action film, like a psycho crazy man. I think he can be your hero that the audience gets behind, that is a caring father, or he's going to save his wife. I think Roman Reigns has a lot more range than we realize, and I really hope a director taps into it. I think he could be an intense villain in a Ryan Coogler film, going off against Michael B. Jordan. Now, I don't know if he's going to be in any Chazelle's pictures, but maybe in one of Villeneuve's films, he can be like a villain in a sci-fi flick. Like, he would be perfect for that Cleopatra film. Maybe a smaller role in that. I honestly think Roman Reigns has a lot of potential as a movie star, and I hope in real life it is realized. If it is not, then Roman Reigns should really be hoping that my studio becomes a reality, because Serendipity Pictures will make Roman Reigns a star. Now, obviously, the big thing of Roman Reigns is we got to talk to him and be like, look, pal, if you want to eventually be known as Joe Anoa'i, we got to decide that now, because that's his real name, is Joe Anoa'i. Because, like, with Rock, it was like, look, you were The Rock, and then you wanted to be known as Dwayne Johnson, so then it became Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We're not doing Roman Reigns, and then eventually it becomes Joe Roman Reigns Anoa'i, because that's just dumb. Either we're Joe Anoa'i or we're Roman Reigns. Willing to bet he's just going to go for Roman Reigns, but if he wants to be Joe Anoa'i, that's fine. I get it. But we're not doing the quotations in the middle, because The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson flows. Joe Roman Reigns Anoa'i does not work. It's too much, way too much. We got to decide that early on. All right, so those are my 7 people that'll frequently, not 7, 8 people that'll frequently be in my cast. Obviously, we can get other people, right? We can make a movie that's led off by Ryan Gosling. We can make a movie with none of these people in it. But those are going to be my go-to people that I'm going to pin my movies on, for the most part. All right, so I got 3 literary rights. My studio went out, and we're going to adapt these novels. First thing we do, we go out and buy all the Elmore Leonard novels. That's what we do. So, obviously, Justified takes Raylan Givens from the Raylan Givens stories. We're not gonna redo that. We're not. I haven't watched Justified yet. I'm sure I'm gonna love it when I do. I'm not gonna mess with that. We're not gonna do Out of Sight. It's already a film. We're not gonna do Rum Punch. It's already a film. We're not doing anything that's already been touched. We're not gonna do 310 to Yuma. We're not gonna do any of that. But there's still a lot to work with. We got 40 Lashes Less One, Mr. Paradise, oh goodness, Kill Shot. There's a lot we can do. Actually, I think Kill Shot's already been made into a movie. I don't know if it's any good, though. If it's not any good, we'll just do it. I don't care. If no one even realizes. But, like, Jackie Brown's obviously really good. And, like, Out of Sight, I've heard is really good. So it's like, we're not messing with those. But the first one we're going to do is we're going to do Maximum Bob. I think Maximum Bob could be a very fun movie. And I think that would be a great one for us to make from the jump with our first Elmore Leonard adaptation. I would probably put Fukunaga on that one. Really, my mandate with our rom-coms and crime films is my mandate that I would say as a studio is if you're making a rom-com, you set it in a fun location, whether it's Hawaii or Australia or Greece Or if you do New York, you better make New York look like the coolest city imaginable. The location has to feel like sexy. You know what I mean? It has to feel like, oh, I wish I was there. That has to happen. That would be my mandate with the rom-coms. When it comes to our crime movies, my mandate would be they better not all be in cities. We can do one in Chicago. We can do one in LA. That's fine. But I better see some places I haven't seen before. We need to see stuff in the bayou. We need to see stuff in the desert. Like, I want to see some stuff out in Albuquerque. You know, I want more unique locations. I don't just want everything New York, because then everything feels the same. I want some stuff on the East Coast. Let's do something up in northern New York. Let's do some stuff in Europe, right? Let's mix it up. That would be my mandate for the crime films, to make them feel more unique, and I think that would be important. And then I would have the same mandate for our rom-coms. Just wanted to toss that out there. So some of the Elmore Leonard novels, we changed it up a little bit, but Maximum Bob is set in Florida, and that's already a great start. All right, next book that we're going to get the rights to and make a film adaptation of is just a singular book. It's a book I really like. Most likely you haven't heard of it. It's by Kurt, I think it's Dinian or Dinan. I really should have looked it up before. My bad. But it's called Don't Get Caught. And it is a movie, well, not a movie. It is a book that I read back in 6th grade that I absolutely adored. Consider it one of my favorite books, up there with the Magnus Chase book series and Treasure Island. And it is a prank war. Imagine Goonies meets Ocean's 11. That would be the way I describe it. And it's really funny. It could be a really good film. Obviously, pretty much none of the stars and actors I mentioned would be in it. Maybe we can throw Roman Reigns a role as like a security guard. I haven't read the book in a while. I read it like 2 or 3 times when I was younger. I liked it that much. I think there's a role for a security guard. Maybe we make Roman the big security guard. Maybe we make Michael Rosenbaum the principal. But for the most part, it's going to be much younger cast. I don't know who's like a young star. Walker Scobell, right? We get Walker Scobell in it. But Don't Get Caught, I think, would be an excellent movie for our studio. I don't know how it's not a movie in real life already. I think it'd be really fun. High school comedy. We could have like the new Ferris Bueller on our hands. I honestly think it'd be banger. Next up, we're buying the rights to all the Simone Eckley's novels. I don't understand how no one has made a film adaptation of the Perfect Chemistry trilogy. For those of you who don't know, Perfect Chemistry is a trilogy of romance novels. It's like a bad boy dating the cheerleader, but the cheerleader actually has a rough home life. And my mom and sister both read them when they were in high school. They go absolutely crazy for them. I've never read them, but to me, it would just make sense. My studio's going to make rom-coms. Let's go out and get these romances. I understand they're not really rom-com books. They're more straightforward romance. That's fine. Maybe we'll inject some comedy into them if it works. If it doesn't work, I don't know. But I haven't read the books, to be really honest. I just was like, wow, I didn't know they hadn't made adaptations of these. So I was like, yeah, that's going to work for my studio then. So we went out and got those. Dacre Montgomery could be a killer bad boy for the Perfect Chemistry trilogy. I think he could do really well. So, they meet in chemistry class. That's why it's called Perfect Chemistry, for what it's worth. Okay, so that's my 3 literary rights. I think we're off to a good start. Then I got 2 creatives. Now, these are just 2 people I want in the building. I didn't put them under master director. I didn't put them under actor because they've done a little bit of everything. They've produced. They've acted. One of them's even done music. These are just people I want in the building, part of Serendipity Pictures. If they want to make something great, if one of them just wants to do some music, that'd be great. Whatever they feel like doing, I'm in support of. First one is Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele, the only horror director I care to watch the horror films of. I mean, I like John Carpenter movies, but I'm not going to watch his horror stuff. Well, maybe I'd watch The Thing at some point. I honestly think I could. I don't know. The Thing's kind of horrifying. I don't know. Anyways, Jordan Peele is a director that pretty much every time he makes a new movie, I'm interested. And I think he'd be a massive get for my studio. If he wants to produce something, we'll help out. If he wants to direct something great, if he wants to act in something great, whatever he wants to do, we want to be involved. Next up is Donald Glover. He wants to do music for a film. Oh my gosh, please. If he wants to direct something great, if he wants to write something excellent, Whatever Don Glover wants to do, that'd be awesome. Atlanta, he wrote Atlanta, the TV show. If you guys didn't realize that. If he wants to act in something, even better. So those are just two people. Julie can't nail down as one type of thing. So my studio will have them in the studio at Serendipity Pictures. All right, last couple things we're going to do. We're going to talk about one classic film that I am going to purchase as part of my library, and we can iterate upon it. Now, here's the thing. I could have done, I don't know, what's something stupid? Casablanca. I love Casablanca. And then it's here's the stupid part, is it's you make a prequel all about Rick and Rick's, cafe. That's stupid. Don't ever do that. That's dumb, right? Not doing that, okay? But I did think of an idea I think is pretty cool. So Beverly Hills Cop 2 has the Alphabet Murders in it. The Alphabet Murders, I learned, is from a 1965 film called The Alphabet Murders. We are going to purchase The Alphabet Murders and immediately greenlight a film about the Alphabet Murders. It is going to take nothing from Beverly Hills Cop 2 or the Alphabet Murders original film, except just the idea of the Alphabet Murders, where A, the crime is related to something with an A. Something like A for the Anchorage Boulevard Bank or something like that. You know what I mean? Something like that. We're going to greenlight a film about the Alphabet Murders. If it does well, maybe we'll make sequels, but just a crime film or an action film about the Alphabet Murders would be pretty banger. Maybe Brian Kirk gets on that. Maybe Fukunaga gets on that. Maybe even we let Will Gluck take a spin. Who knows? Make it a little more funny, right? Maybe Will Gluck wants to make a buddy cop film, right? Maybe we get Channing Tatum and somebody else to do a buddy cop. Maybe. But yeah, Alphabet Murders, think we could have a hit in our hands. My big franchise. Now, I didn't want to do something obvious. I didn't want to do something dumb. I think at the Big Picture podcast, they made a really good point. Sean Fennessy was talking about, for his literary adaptations, he would buy the rights to the Hyperion book series, which is these sci-fi novels that I've actually thought about reading before. I might eventually do that. They sound pretty sweet. And there's only 4 of them, which isn't bad. And Wheel of Time, where there's 14. Oof. But my big franchise, I decided I wanted to do something that is a little more weird and you wouldn't really think of. I didn't want to be we're going to buy Jurassic Park and make a new Jurassic Park, or I'm going to go get John Carter and make the second one, because I actually like the movie John Carter. I was no, we're not doing that. I'm going to do something that kind of sounds like a bad idea, but then hopefully I can sell you on it. My big franchise is going to be the Dukes of Hazzard. Now, I know they've made a Dukes of Hazzard movie before. They made one in the early 2000s. Sean William Scott in it. I get it. I get you probably rolling your eyes. But I want to argue something. The Fast and Furious movies, massive hits. There's 10 of them. About to be 11. They all started as car racing films. I think we make a Dukes of Hazzard film with my boy Glenn Powell as Bo Duke. I don't know who we get to be Luke Duke. I don't think Channing Tatum is the right pick. I think we would do a larger search outside the studio. I want Roscoe. I want Enos. I want Boss Hog. I want Cooter. I want them all. I want all the classic characters. Uncle Jesse. Need them all. Did I actually just nail all the Dukes of Hazzard characters just off the top of my head? Because I actually have a Dukes of Hazzard story to tell real quick. Let me make sure I got those right. Bo Duke, Luke Duke, Roscoe, Uncle Jesse, Cooter, Boss Hog. Yeah, I did. Enos. Yeah, damn. I'm kind of impressed with myself. Obviously, we need Daisy Duke. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, put Margot Robbie as Daisy Duke. I don't really know if that makes the most sense. I don't know if we're going to be hey, Margot, you're going to be Daisy Duke. I mean, maybe, but I guess maybe we do. I don't know. But Glenn Powell's Bowduke, I think, is killer. I honestly think it's money. But here's the thing with Dukes of Hazzard. I watched Dukes of Hazzard a lot when I was younger, like kindergarten, first, second grade. That was one of my favorite shows when I was really little. Really enjoyed it. Never watched the movie. Didn't have any interest. I think it could be a really fun film franchise for Serendipity Pictures if we make them like fun action comedies. I think you make the characters, you kind of modernize them a little bit. Not exactly sure what the plot really is, because I think you don't want to make it a period piece, right? But I mean, you just make it that they used to, maybe they're just moonshine runners to different states, because obviously, Tennessee has different laws according to moonshine than, different states around it do. So you make it so they're running moonshine, they get in trouble with the cops, and things get out of hand, and you just kind of roll from there. I think that could be really fun. Boss Hogg's obviously your big villain. I think you could have a really fun movie on your hands. If it pops off, you start working on the sequels. We're doing it Fast and Furious style. I think that could be kind of a good franchise, being honest. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think it could be fun. So, Dukes of Hazzard is my big franchise for Serendipity Pictures. All right, first film we would make, though, I've already said we're going to make Maximum Bob, we're going to make Don't Get Caught, we're going to make the Perfect Chemistry trilogy, we're going to make an Alphabet Murders film, we're going to make a Dukes of Hazzard film, and potentially a franchise. Then the first film I would make, though, is I'm going to tell Ryan Coogler, look, you team up with Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, make a crime movie, and, or actually really any movie you want, to be honest. I really don't care what you make. Make a movie and have Childish Gambino do the music. I think it could be banger. And they'll be like, yeah, you're right. That would be banger. And they would do that. And it would be money. So I just think that'd be a great movie. So that's it. That is Serendipity Pictures. I'm quite proud of the way my studio turned out. So if you enjoyed this podcast and you thought it was fun, I really appreciate it. This was really just me rambling for a while. More than usual. And I thought this was a really fun exercise. Maybe we'll eventually do it again. Maybe we'll do it with TV shows if I had a TV studio. But that's all from me. I tried to think of some relatively creative ideas. I didn't think it was fun if I just said, I have this movie idea, let's do this. Because that's not what I would be doing as a studio head. I would be approving other people's ideas. And I would be bringing up adaptations or revitalizations or reboots of different things. I wouldn't be writing my own movies. So, even though I could have, pitched you on an idea I have for a movie, that to me wasn't as fun of an exercise because it's not as challenging. Because I do have some ideas for different movies. And I thought it was more fun to challenge myself and go, okay, instead of Ryan Klinger making up a franchise, let's find something that already is a brand that I would, use to launch something. So I thought Dukes of Hazzard was a fun one. All right. Well, that's it from me. NBA Finals coming up. It'll be fun to watch. I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, thank you all. Very excited for Hitman this weekend and watching the NBA Finals. Like I said, I have the Mavericks in 7. We'll talk about all that on the next one, I'm assuming. The next one will probably be the Finals recap, so probably about 2 weeks we'll meet back up and have another pod. All right, thank you all. Serendipity Pictures. If Serendipity Pictures ever becomes reality, you heard it here first, guys. All right. See ya.